Hi everyone, and welcome to today's Open Spending virtual event. My name is Victoria, and I am the Open Spending Community Lead. I'll be moderating today's meeting. Today on the call, we have a part of the Open Spending team. We have Diana Krebs, Project Manager for Open Spending, who will offer an update on the progress, roadmap, and goals of Open Spending. We have Adam Karev, Technical Lead for Open Spending, who will present on the Open Fiscal Data Package and new Open Spending tools. We have Loic Junet, Open Spending Programmer, who will offer a brief data upload demo. I will be offering an update on the community outreach activities, and we'll be joined by Anna Alberts from OpenNode Germany for an update from their office. After the presentations, we left some time for questions and answers. Now, I would like to invite Adam to present on the Open Fiscal Data Package and the new Open Spending tools.
Hi everyone. Hopefully everyone can see my screen. Great. So I'll talk a little bit about the Open Fiscal Data Package and what we've been doing in the past few months on Open Spending. A little bit about myself. I started working in Open Knowledge International about almost a year ago. I've been working on Open Spending since. I've been running similar projects in Israel, open source fiscal data portals. Yeah, that's about it. So let's begin. Open Spending. What is Open Spending? It's a project by Open Knowledge International. It's basically a platform for fiscal data. And when I say fiscal data, I mean budget data and transactional procurement data or any other fiscal data. It's a platform that's both supposed to be sort of a utility for anyone who wants to host fiscal data or upload files or analyze them, so they can use it, but also we aim to be sort of a repository for the highest quality fiscal data from the largest amount of countries and regions and municipalities around the world, so that anyone seeking to know or to get any fiscal data can come to Open Spending and get the data. So it's both a platform and also a portal. Okay. So the new Open Spending, I think its core is in the Fiscal Data Package. And what is that Fiscal Data Package? So when we look at the old Open Spending or the original design of this project, which is quite an old project, it started around 2011, so it gained some mileage. So the original design said, okay, once you upload fiscal data, great. Please put your fiscal data in a very specific format. You have to have CSV files with these columns, and if you don't have these columns, then you can upload to Open Spending. In the new Open Spending, we wanted to sort of be more inclusive, and we understood that there are as many different formats to put fiscal data as there are countries in the world, because everyone has their own peculiarities. So we wanted to be more inclusive. And the way to implement this inclusiveness is to say, okay, we basically we allow any sort or form or a structure of fiscal data to be uploaded to Open Spending, but you have to describe it to us so we know how to interpret it, and we know how to store it, and we know how to use it later for comparing it to other data sets. And the key for this description is what we call the Fiscal Data Package. And the fiscal data package is a specification. It's built on other specifications which belong to the frictionless data projects. It basically is a container for fiscal data, which also has a description or a mapping of each of the columns in the fiscal data file into sort of generic concepts. For example, you might have, I'm just going to skip a few slides here. Okay, so what are these fiscal concepts? For example, you might say, I have a functional classification of each one of my budget lines. I say this is education, or this is I don't know, health expenditure. And you might have an administrative classification, which basically split up your lines into different regions. Or even economic classification, which say this is expenditure, this is a projected income. And all of these columns may coexist in a single file. So the basic idea is we took a lot of different files, data files from around the world, and try to find the common fiscal concepts that basically you could map each one of the columns in each one of the files to one of these concepts. And when you finish with the mapping, you not only have a lot of information about the different relationships between the columns, between the hierarchies, but you're also able to compare and aggregate based on these concepts, which is quite useful. So this is this specification was developed by Knowledge International with a collaboration with GIFT, which is an organization sort of I think Victoria can tell more about them, but they're the Initiative for Fiscal Transparency and the World Bank, which runs the Boost platform. And it's an open standard, so anyone can take it, use it, implement it, and there is a very rich set of tooling for creating these kind of fiscal packages and analyzing them and opening them. So from the tech point of view, it's a very mature specification. Okay, so here you have links for the whatever you want, both the specification and yeah, if you want to raise issues or you want to ask questions, that's the place. And last month, Mexico was the first country to formally adopt the Open Fiscal Data Package. This means that they started publishing their own budget data, the budget data for years 2008 till 2016, the historic data, and also the proposed budget for 2017 as fiscal data packages using the specification on the OpenSpending platform, which was a very big deal for us. Okay, so that's about that. Yeah, and I think that Victoria will tell, we were planning to have a few more pilots with GIFT and the fiscal data package, but I'll let Victoria give the details. So what is OpenSpending Next? OpenSpending Next is basically the re-implementation of all the old OpenSpending. It's really a re-implementation because it has basically nothing in common with the old OpenSpending. From the code point of view, it's really a rethinking, a re-architecturing the entire thing. This work has been going on for about a year, and it's planned to continue for I think a couple of months ahead. And the basics of it are pretty much the same. OpenSpending is the platform for you to upload data and visualize it, and it has a very rich API. So that didn't change. But the internals did change, and basically we have we're developing two different apps that, or more correctly, app suites that sort of encompass the ways that users interact with OpenSpending. So the first one is what we call OS Packager, which is all the means we have to upload data into OpenSpending. This is aimed at creators and maybe budget activists and government officials that want to upload data into OpenSpending. And later on, Loic will show a demo of all these tools. So I'm going to stay on the slide level. So the packager is a tool that's basically allows you to get any fiscal data file. It can be CSV file, but we have sort of adapters to support other kinds of files, Excel files, Google spreadsheets, whatever. So whatever you have, it will load it, it will analyze the file, it'll show you the different columns, and will give you the opportunity to do this description phase that I described earlier. So you can map each one of these columns in your fiscal data file into these concepts. And finally, it will upload the data into OpenSpending database and allow you to sort of decide if you want this data set to be published for everyone to see or just private for you to analyze and sort of privately inspect it. So this is the packager. It's a very, very powerful web app. It does most of the processing on your browser. So that's quite neat. I mean, you only upload data once you're finished and mapped and everything is ready. And on the other hand, we have the viewer, which the viewer is again the name of a suite of apps which allows you to explore the different data sets that are currently on OpenSpending, select one of them, and sort of analyze them visually using a multitude of different visualizations. I didn't mention it earlier, but OpenSpending is a very sort of modular project. So if you're lacking a visualization, it's quite easy to add a new one. We've got multiple contributions of new visualizations that we integrated into OpenSpending, and it's quite easy to add. The entire visualization library is standalone, so you can even use those visualizations without using the OS Viewer, for example. So OS Viewer basically shows you the data set in a visual form, allows you to filter and aggregate, and these visualizations can also be embedded later on in your websites, either as a single visualization, or you can even embed the entire viewer. And this is aimed more at sort of the casual users, or again the creators that want to take a visualization and sort of embed it. Okay, so OpenSpending, what does it give you? So basically, it's a normal platform. We have a database that's always available. You put data, and it's always there. We have sort of a framework for creating what we call ingestion pipelines. So basically, you define your source of data, and we constantly scrape it or download the file and upload it to OpenSpending. So not only you have you don't have to sort of upload data manually into OpenSpending every week or every month. You can set up a sort of a scheduled task that does it for you, and you always get the most fresh data in OpenSpending, and the graphs or the embeds are always showing the most correct data, which is quite neat. All the data, no matter how you uploaded it, be it from an Excel file, a Google spreadsheet, or whatever, or a CSV file, it's all available as a standard with using the fiscal data package. so everyone can download it. And it doesn't matter which file you upload it, it's always going to be fully standardized. And it's an open project, so you can submit bugs if you find them, or you can submit feature improvements if you're a coder. So and everything's done in the open, so you can know exactly what is our roadmap and what we're developing right now. And again, these are the sort of the benefits of being an open source project. And obviously, you can take all the code and start your own local open spending on your own machine or your own server. We won't mind. If you want to host it yourself, then you can also go for that. And it's we have full documentation how to do it on our docs website. So I think it's time for a demo. Are there any questions before that?
Thank you so much, Adam. And if people do have questions, we can take them in the last 20 minutes of the call. And for now, again, thank you so much for the presentation. Hopefully, there'll be many questions. I'd like to invite Loic. All right, Loic, so the floor goes to you.
Can everybody hear me?
Loud and clear.
Yeah. Great. Okay. Perfect. So my name is Loic Junot, and I work with some of the data pipelines related to OpenSpending Next, and in particular, I worked on getting the Mexican government data into into the system. So what I'll do right now is I'll do a very short presentation of how the packager works. Essentially, the packager is the way that people can come with any data structured the way it is originally, and model it so that at the end of the day you have something standard, basically a fiscal package. So it's very easy. The packager lets you do that, and what you do is you take a file. Here I've prepared a file. You get validation, basically, of your file. So if any of your lines are duplicates, or if any of your headers don't match your columns, you will find out straight away. Then you can move on, and what you have here, this is a very, very simple budget. Essentially what it is EU subsidy beneficiaries in the UK for the years 2007-2013. I simplified the data a lot because I didn't want too many columns. Essentially, once you are in there with valid data, what the packager helps you is, like, without you a priori knowing anything about what a fiscal data package is, you can map your data to one. So, for example, the first column is a priority number. In the EU lingo, this is actually a functional classification. It tells you what the priority of the subsidy is, and here I can choose in this drop-down menu how I want it to map. So I'll do it again because I did it very quickly the first time. So here I have, in this drop-down menu, I have a whole bunch of different column types that I can use. Some are classifications. Activities are a hierarchical level of programs and projects. Administrator or administrative or regional classifications. Sorry, no, that was the administrative classification here. I'm not going to go through all of them, but essentially there are a lot of different types, and I'll show you which type I'll use in this case. So my priority is actually a functional classification, so I would select functional classification here, down here, and then it asks me if it's a COFOG, functional classification, or a non-standard. So I will choose non-standard. And then I choose unique identifier because this is a unique identifier for my priority category. Then I can go to the organization that is the beneficiary of my subsidies. And here I will prefer to map it as a recipient. So I will choose recipient, non-standard recipient, and this will be my identifier. I have a project, which is basically the project that the subsidies were given out for. And in this case, I can choose any number of things, but let's say I choose activity, and I consider it as a program. Here, the next column is the European Subsidy Fund that has issued the funding. So what I want to be doing here is probably go and map it to financial source, a non-standard financial source, and a unique identifier. The total here, where I have a couple of zeros in the first 3 rows, is the total amount that has been subsidized. And so I will use the value amount. And these value amounts are basically the heart of your data. These are where your spending or expenditure or your revenue goes. So here I'm going to say that there's no grouping character between the thousands. I'm going to use the GBP pound. And I will say that this is an expenditure, and I will say that this has been executed. So there are a few phases in the budget that you can choose from: adjusted, approved, executed, and proposed. I also have a date column here, and so I will choose the date. So this is not a fiscal year, this is the start date of the project, so I'll pick other date. And I confirm my format, my date format here. And here I've got a postal code, so this would typically be geographic information, and I could choose target geographic information, which is basically the target towards which the money goes to, and this will be a unique identifier. So in a couple of clicks, I've managed to map something that was a table with a budget inside to an actual fiscal package, which is a standard and which everybody can agree on. And so after I've done that, essentially what I can do is I have a green light here, and it says now that you have modeled your resource, you can continue to the next step. So this is what I'm going to do. Okay, and here essentially what the packager does is ask you to provide metadata, because all these budgets are going to be either actually open or private, but they all have to be essentially characterized a little. So let me just type a title. So I would say UK subsidies, oops, EU subsidies. I would say 2007 to 2013. I will write the same description here, or description approaching. UK EU subsidies demo. This will be the unique identifier of this data set. So actually, since I already made a demo with the same name, I'll choose demo 2. Here I can write a description for the public to have a short description of what your data set is when they search for it. So here you can add a paragraph about the data. I will then classify it, and I choose Europe, of course. I would choose the UK. Actually, this is not Ukraine. It will be the United Kingdom. There's no particular city that it applies for. And now I'm going to put a period in it, so it's going to be 2007-0101, 1st of January to 2013. And And here now I have basically described my data set. This is the part that really helps other users search through existing data sets. And I can continue to the next step. The next step is a recap. So what I have here is the title of my package, the actual name for the computer, the start and end date, geographical information, and I have a recap of how my columns map to my original columns. So this is in the column mapping section here. If you're happy with all that, you can go ahead. If you're not happy, you can go back to steps 1, 2, and 3, and you will not lose what you did. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to publish this data package, and you can see now that the packager is busy uploading your CSV file. And what happens in the background is that the original data is stored on Amazon services, and after that, the original data is remodeled and stored in the OpenSpending data store. So basically, you have the best of both worlds. You can always download your original CSV file, or anybody actually can do the same. And you can also then view your data as it has been modeled in the fiscal context. So now, right now, is what's happening is that the original data has been uploaded to Amazon, and now we are uploading the second step, which basically transfers the original data into the OpenSpending database. I should have maybe shortened my file because it might take a little while, but in the meantime, I can show you what I've previously added, which is exactly the same data set. So when I go to the viewer now with this data set, essentially I can create visualizations. I can also download the description, the meta information about my fiscal data package, and I can also download the raw data that I had previously. And this raw data is really raw, it has not been tinkered with. It's really what you had to start with. I can also analyze this in the data mine, which I might not have time to show you, but essentially you get now like visualizations for free. And okay, so for example, if I choose to visualize per financial source, this is and I use this type of visualization here, I can see that 3/4 of the subsidies were from the ERDF fund and the rest was from the ESF fund. And I basically now have in the left column here a whole bunch of classifiers that help me drill down, select, filter data from my fiscal data package. I can get visualizations, and I always get the underlying data underneath, and there is a lot more to it, but I don't think I have time. So I'll take questions, I guess, at the end of the presentation.
Thank you so much, Loic. Now I would like to go to Diana, who has been a project manager for OpenSpending for a few months now.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining. I will try to quickly share my screen with you, and I hope we can see it all. Just give me a quick shout out. Can you see it?
Looking good.
Thank you very much. Well, thanks, Victoria. Well, my name is Diana, and I joined Open Knowledge International 2 months ago as a project manager for OpenSpending. And prior to that, I worked for the Swiss government on open data projects. So I have the pleasure today just to give you a bit of a overlook where we stand, how we got here, and where we're heading at. It's just past, present, and future. And I'm sure a lot of you are already well acquainted with OpenSpending and its past stories, but I take the time anyway to just to give you an outlook, because it helps you also to understand why we are here where we are at the moment. So today's OpenSpending follows its predecessor projects, and that was, of course, Where Does My Money Go? And the first launch of OpenSpending in 2011. And as Adam has already said, and Victoria as well, there has been some enhancements between 2014 and 15, which were addressing technical shortcomings and constraints which had also been raised by a very active community. And it's boiled down to a theme that emerged, or a claim, and that was centralized data and decentralized views on data. So the idea behind this claim was to build a core platform with a centralized database that allows you across an in-depth analysis, but at the same time acknowledging that every fiscal data ecosystem is different and there needs to be tailoring around. So not one size fits all approach. The idea was also kind of to build something sturdy that is also flexible at the same time, which brings us to the present. And of course, you all know it now. We have next OpenSpending and the tooling. That is one part of the project, of course, but OpenSpending builds up on different projects as well. So currently, and this is what we're working on currently, we work together with a consortium of 9 different organizations around fiscal data on a project that's called Open Budgets EU. Open Budgets EU is an EU-funded platform that will provide a solid overview of public spending data and also tools to foster fiscal transparency. OpenSpending Next architecture serves as the core technical architecture for Open Budgets EU. And with you saw with the Mexican project that this is built on a project in collaboration with GIFT and the World Bank Boost Initiative. We already had Mexico as a country that endorsed the Open Fiscal Data Package, and currently we are in discussion with 3 to 4 countries that are interested in using the Open Fiscal Data Package as well. There will be Croatia, the Philippines, Uruguay, and Vietnam. And at the moment, we have to see who is going to join us to pilot the next projects on that. So we're helping governments to open up their budgets, and these projects are based on OpenSpending as well as on our fiscal data standard. We also aim to help the community as well as data journalists to make more use of fiscal data. And right now we're working on 2 projects that portray the EU subsidy landscapes. One is Subsidy Stories EU, and the other is called Farm Stories. Both will come with websites, like a database that is based on OpenSpending, and we will give like tools and ideas on how we make these subsidies visible within the EU and where the subsidies go. The 2 projects, they concentrate on EU structural funds and agricultural subsidies, and I'm sure Anna Alberts from Open Knowledge Germany can say a bit more about it. I'm here with her in a room in the lovely office of Open Knowledge Germany. And of course, as a natural consequence of this, we are stepping up community outreach activities. Victoria as well as Anna will talk about that after me. And the future, as I wrote, is already here. We're in constant exchange with partners. For example, we work with in the course of the Open Budgets EU projects. We are trying to foster and strengthening these partnerships to push fiscal data projects forward. We work on a constant tool enhancement. Of course, if you look at the OpenSpending GitHub, and Adam mentioned it before, you can kind of see the roadmap on that when you look at the GitHub repo. And also we work on the knowledge transfer on how to use the tools. We start our effort to target journalists and CSOs in building stories around fiscal data. The two projects I've mentioned before, subsidy stories and farm stories, these are going to be, well, let's say, stepping stones for our goals. With these two platforms, we really aim to make fiscal data less abstract. We want to help data journalists to really understand the topic and the importance and the impact of fiscal data, and help them to build stories around them. Of course, we're going to go further, proceed in helping government units to publish their public data, budget data, because we also believe that, of course, this helps them live up to transparency standards, but also to their accountability standards. And last but not least, we also, of course, want the community to help us in that, the techies as well as the non-techies alike. And we, of course, with this call, we aim, or we talk to techies, but in our future, in the future, we also want to have more events that also kind of target non-techies alike, so that we can help techies and non-techies to really understand what's behind budget and fiscal data, and how they can really use it to strengthen their communities, and also to help within the community when it comes to demand accountability from their governments and from the municipalities. If you have any more questions after that, I'm happy to answer that. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Diana. And now I'll go into a short update on community activities. As you know, OpenSpending is a community-driven project. Since our last community call, which took place way back in 2015, a number of countries uploaded Boost datasets to OpenSpending, and you can check all of the datasets that are currently available on openspending.org on the Explorer tool, which lets you search for datasets with different inputs such as city name, organization name, and so far. A number of CSOs, we have some of them on the call today, have been obtaining and uploading data to OpenSpending, and thank you very much for their contributions and for their work. Also, we've had a number of upload sessions. At least one of them took place in Jakarta in September 2016. We've had participants from Paraguay, Uruguay, Brazil, Vietnam, South Africa, Benin, Philippines. So great interest from a number of countries in activities from OpenSpending. What we are working on in regards to outreach activities, we, as I mentioned, a number of upload sessions with those interested. Anyone who makes a request, we can go ahead, and if they still have questions about the platform, we can offer an upload session. We're aiming to post blog posts at least twice a month for the community. And if you have a fiscal topic update, blog post idea, feel free to let us know on social media or email me, and we're glad to feature your work. Another activity is to update a community blog. We are still working on that, and we'll be coming with an update in the near time. And also we're working to connect with open knowledge chapters. One of the activities as well is migrating from the old mailing lists to the open spending category on the Discuss forum, the Open Knowledge forums, since the mailing lists are not as active as they used to be, and we currently envision the Discuss forums as the home of open spending community. We will be aiming to close the mailing lists by the end of next month, and we do invite you to sign up for Discuss, and of course you are going to be able to receive notifications if you follow or you sign up to get the notifications. So check out Open Spending category on the Discuss forum. What you can do there is you can learn how to use open spending tools from other users, from their posts, from us. You can post your updates. You can start a topic to get community's input, announce events, or engage with others' posts. So looking forward your participation, and I thank you very much and would like to pass on the word to Anna Alberts from Open Knowledge Germany.
Hello. Hello everyone, this is Anna Alberts from Open Knowledge Germany. We have been involved with open spending through a project Open Budgets EU, and through that I have spoken about both open spending. Through that I've done a lot of outreach towards different financial transparency organizations here in Europe, and yeah, we also do a number of community activities for Open Budgets EU that very much overlap with open spending. And I see that I wrote Open Spending in Europe. That must be, of course, fiscal data in Europe. So please read that. So, community in Europe. A quick update, so what happens around the continent for a bit. I think in Central and Eastern Europe we see a lot of really interesting developments taking place. There is, on the one hand, within this community, a sincere worry about the political movements that we see that goes much to the right wing, to the radical right, and how the space for civil society gets smaller and smaller and smaller. There is a really interesting, from the PDF, the PDF is the Personal Democracy Forum in Poland, brings all of these different groups together once a year. And that is a really interesting community, and spreads out both through Central and through Far Eastern, well, through Eastern Europe all the way to Georgia even. Transparency EE has started a really interesting project over the last 6 months, where they bring together a lot of these groups that work on transparency and also specifically fiscal transparency. Because they believe that in Central and Eastern Europe there is a shared history in post-communism, and in that shared points in how the governments are set up, and they together make a push for more transparency in the region. They have a website, transparencyee.org, where all these different projects are highlighted, and I would really recommend everyone to see that. What I want to highlight here is Game Monitor. Probably most of you have heard about it. They have a red flag. They have Red Flags EU as a website, where they developed procedures to see which public procurement processes might or might not be, suspect for corruption due to certain parameters, and they try now to scale that up. So that's really, really interesting work. Another one that I would like to point out is the work of the open data community in Albania, where they work a lot with assets declarations that are very, very interesting. So in and if you are from Central and Eastern Europe, do reach out to me, and I will be happily putting you in contact with TechSoup, who is running Transparency EE. Then on to the Southern Europe. There is a lot of movement, just like in Central and Eastern Europe. There's a lot of movement in the Balkans. You've Open Data Kosovo, who's doing a lot. You've Metamorphosis. You've several groups in Croatia. There's a very Metamorphosis is in Macedonia, in Split. There is a bunch of civil society groups there that really try to change and make their societies more transparent. And keep an eye out on Point, which happens every year in the spring in Sarajevo. So the Balkans in itself is a really vibrant community, and at the same time have a very specific history, of course, together. So that makes for different projects and very interesting projects that go on there. Then of course, we had the IODC, where we went and held a talk about open budgets and open spending. And at the IODC, we had the Follow the Money network meeting, which was really interesting. Main things that were discussed there were more transparency in on open contracting and the open contracting standard, of course, and how to take that now forward, the work that has been going on with the open contracting standard and the combination with open corporates, and how to use this data and information to work together with journalists to bring more transparency and to fight against corruption. So that was the IODC in Spain. In Spain itself, of course, our partner CBO from the Open Budget EU project is doing a ton of work on visualizing budget and spending data. And you see a lot of changes there, it says now, chances there for new engagements due to the changes in government. Then I would like to point out that everyone should keep an eye on TICTEC, which is a conference organized in Florence by Open Society from the UK. And applications are now open, takes place in the spring. Do apply there. Finally, in Northwestern Europe, we ourselves are now working on bringing together subsidy data from the European Union together with Loic. That's also the, one of the data sets he showed in the demonstrator. And you have, of course, in addition to that, there's farm subsidies that is still being scraped. So we bring on EU transparency, we bring additional fiscal data together. And of course, over in the last spring, the all the public procurement documents for the EU level have been also opened. So that is a very interesting development in terms of fiscal transparency at that level. Then there is some very interesting developments, especially within the UK and its anti-corruption summits that happened last spring. And there is a lot of push there for more laws and more agreements. What I also find very interesting coming from the UK, but also for the rest of Europe, very interesting is the work from the Tax Justice Network and the different way, like that's a new area in fiscal transparency that we should definitely keep an eye on. Here in Germany, we have interesting developments on the in transparency, in the area of transparency, that they're now negotiating about an open data law. So of course, as Open Knowledge Germany, we're very much involved there. And then finally, I want to point out some great examples. OpenSpending NL has a wealth of data, as most of us know. And they have developed new things with that data. One is that you can combine subsidy, that they did network analysis for all the subsidy data in the Netherlands, which is very, very interesting. And they developed an extra tool where the comparison gets a new comparison between municipalities and how they spend their money is almost BuzzFeeded. So you can, it's called the list, OpenSpending NL, and where you can say, I want the 10 highest municipalities who spend the most on living, who spend the most on infrastructure, who spend the most on bikes, etc. Open Knowledge Belgium is doing a lot on transparency and fiscal transparency, and has organized a Diplo hack, and this has organized this spring a Diplo hack. And finally, I want to point out what Open Knowledge Finland is doing. They both organized My Data, which was more privacy in data, I think last month. And they have a new fiscal data website where you can print out a fiscal budget as a receipt, which is a really, really nice thing. So these are some of the, this is a bit of an update of what, as far as I know, the community in Europe is doing. I am forgetting a ton of different things, but that's probably coming up next time. Then specifically for Open Budgets EU, where we're working together on with Open Knowledge International, the first tools are getting ready, and we have a call for trials opening next month with municipalities to trial different things, different tools that are being developed in Open Budgets EU. We have, for example, in these tools, we have participatory budgeting. We have a really interesting website, cookingbudgets.com, from J++, who have developed training and tutorials for journalists. So do have a look there. That's really, really cool. And then we have participatory budgeting tools from CBO, and we have additional data analytics tools. Open Budgets EU is now foreseen as building triple store and linked data applications on top of OS that you can, on top of OpenSpending Next, that you can also access through the packager and explorer of OpenSpending. And our next meeting is in Prague, end of November. What we did in terms of community work, I already said it. We held a talk at the IODC. Our next talk will be at the OGP, and we have been doing looking at the community who talks about the budget debates in at the European Union level, and we're monitoring how they use Twitter and which networks kind of pop up there, and we follow up with that work in January. So far, so good from our side. And now I give it back to Victoria.
Thank you so much, Anna, for the great update. We're going to make sure to join you for the speech at OGP if you're going to be there. So that's great. All right. So thank you again, Anna. Thank you to all the presenters. And I propose that we use the remaining of the time for Q&As. So the floor is open.
Okay, here is Charlie from Cameroon, Central Africa, working with Pro Leadership, a partner CSO with Open Knowledge International. I wanted to ask if, 2 weeks ago, we had a meeting with the Ministry of Finance, the General Secretary, one of the top managers of the ministry. And we were talking about using the data fiscal package. And I would like to know if, like I saw with the Mexican government, is it possible that Open Knowledge can build such a platform with the government? Since up to now we have been working on municipal budget data, that is for the government. Is it possible that we can push that here? Because we thought of that, and a kind of MOU is being drafted.
Jana, would you like to take that, or?
Sure, thank you for that question. And I want to quote Victoria here, because Victoria coined that lovely sentence: the beauty of open spending is that it's free. And I would just recommend, yes, use it also for getting in touch and working with like a federal government unit, because that's what we have been doing with the Mexican government. And of course, if you want to work with them directly, that's a beautiful thing. And but we are also here if you need any support or if you want to reach out. And you have, of course, the full documentation on how it works. But of course, go ahead and use the tools. That would be my recommendation. Yeah, that's from my side. Victoria or Adam or Lloyd wants to add something, would be happy.
I'll be happy to connect with Charlie after the call to discuss in more details how it is possible to join in and adopt the Open Fiscal Data Package and how to cooperate with the government. Thank you, Charlie, for your question. Thank you, Diana, for the response.
Thank you. Thank you.
We have a question in the chat. The question is, are the slides available? Yes, we will make them available on Twitter and email after the event. We have time for 2 more questions.
Okay, I will get in again. We also had a meeting with how do I call them? It's a public organization that oversees public contracts. And is it possible to use, maybe I guess it's yes, but I want to confirm it. Is it possible to use OpenSpending to follow up those public contracts? Because it's a nightmare here in Cameroon.
I would say again, Charlie, good question, and let's get in touch about it because it takes so much work to get the government's cooperation. So happy to get in touch about it after the call.
Perfect.
There's a question in the chat about, can you share more about the lab hangouts in general? I've just found out about them. I think this would be Dan's place. Dan, are you still with us on the call? Dan, our colleague from OpenSpending, is in charge of the labs. They are taking place at least every month on different topics and different projects of OpenSpending. And you can be following the OpenSpending, the Open Labs, the Open Knowledge Labs on Twitter. I'll be sharing the link in the chat shortly. There's another question. Is there a mailing list too? So we did have a mailing list. Currently, we are working to transition from those mailing lists to the Discuss forum. The Discuss forum you can access at discuss.okfn.org OpenSpending. So sharing it in the chat right now. And we are thinking to also initiate a mailing list on MailChimp. And if so, you're going to find out about it on social media and discuss. We're going to make sure to keep the community updated. Earlier, there was a question from Nanny. Question about the error found for drill down for bubble tree and pie chart. So Nanny, that would be usually this is how we manage errors. We do encourage the community to post any error they found on GitHub, and we will take it from there. So as well, you can see on the screen the OpenSpending GitHub. Let me share the screen in the chat room as well. All right, so most of the questions were in the chat room. We thank you very much. We would like to invite you to upload your data to OpenSpending, to explore it, upload it, visualize, and share your data. You can learn more about the Open Fiscal Data Package presented by Adam today. As well, as mentioned earlier, we're inviting you to start a topic, ask a question on OpenSpending public chat on the Discuss forums, or if you tried or are going to try OpenSpending and encounter an issue or have any sort of questions, we invite you to submit the issue on GitHub. And of course, let's stay in touch on social media or email us. We thank you very much. And if there are no any more questions, I tell you goodbye and thank you.
Bye, everyone, and thank you for
Bye.
participating.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye, everyone. Hope to see you on OpenSpending.